Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next The Dragon Prince review. This one's going to be for Season 2, Episode 4, 5, and 6. Voyage of the Ruthless, what else do we have here? Breaking the Seal and Heart of a Titan. And these were an interesting group of episodes. I didn't feel overly strongly about most of Episode 4. I thought the stuff with Viren and the Star Elf was very interesting. Still don't have many reveals on that though, but just that he's following along with the advice, or that she's kind of teaching him something, but then he hesitates at the last minute and doesn't go ahead with it. So, that's a nice setup for something down the line of like, she's not saying a word, she's just teaching him something and he's going along with it, and we don't know what exactly it's about. The present, I suppose, rest of the story with regards to them just meeting the pirate, and a little bit of a story with like Callum wanting to, try and harness or make some sort of connection with the storm, but Zim ends up making it instead. It was nice, addressing that arc that's going to be a part of this season of just Callum and magic and where he's meant to be, what his destiny is with regards to that, and how it sort of links into, again, on the boat over the course of these episodes, Rayla kind of revealing that, oh hey, I'm an assassin, but kind of because I'm forced in a way by my culture into being one. It's not really my dream, my destiny, and just her kind of, I suppose, getting a little bit of advice from the pirate captain guy to just, I suppose, find herself, and then once she does that, whatever path she takes will be hers. And it was an interesting piece of advice, and it sort of fits for just Rayla, who, apart from just wanting to deliver the dragon back, the dragon back and fix that kind of whole issue, we are kind of a little bit lacking in that sort of direction. At least with Ezra, and like he's sort of defined right now by the connection to Zim, and so on. Callum, I suppose we learn over the course of this episode as well. A sort of destiny for him, but like Rayla, just apart from the whole assassin thing, where is she going? So I like that they addressed that and kind of gave her a bit of a focus, a bit of a suggestion about where she's heading. But the other two episodes, the last two episodes here, 5 and 6, I really liked. They went for the flashback, specifically the flashback of how Callum and Ezra, I suppose, lost their mother, how Queen Sarai died. And I thought it was a very interesting story, and in terms of overall how they incorporated it into like all sides of the story, in that they used the Callum opening up the letter plus Viren talking to the new queen of Doran, who was the daughter of the two previous queens, and telling them a story about her, telling her a story about them, and how it's just it makes sense why this is like both sides learning this kind of key event from the past at the same time, or at least it being referenced at the same time. So I thought that was an interesting, I suppose, premise for why the flashback is told. It's not, I suppose, the flashback we're waiting for, which I think is realistically the, how does Thunder get killed, which obviously this flashback helps to inform, I suppose, why that even happens in the first place, because Thunder basically killed Sarai. So that, as I think Harrow talks about, it's sort of the event that sparked his kind of revenge, and in the aftermath of that sort of realizes the negative aspect of kind of going about things in that way, going about things from a power, revenge, just focused on pure strength perspective, and wants a future that's more about kind of love and kindness, which is kind of what he and Sarai were about in the first place. And there's a general, I suppose, idealism of hope and love with regards to Harrow's approach, in that when the two queens of Duran come to him for help with their famine, even though they're struggling themselves, he wants to help because he has that ideal. And even though it will basically just spread the suffering, rather than like take it all away, he accepts it because he forms this bond with this other kind of nation. And it's I think it's really well done, because it then gives, I suppose, a more reason behind, I suppose, the sacrifice that happens later of the two queens, I suppose, kind of repaying that favor for him saving so many of their people by offering them that aid even though they didn't have it. And here is them making the sacrifice that will help their people but will also help, you know, Harrow's people as well. So I thought that was very significant. It was well done. It allowed them as leaders, I suppose, to not just always be in the debt of Harrow, and instead like gave them this kind of momentous kind of moment in sacrificing themselves, and it helps to give, I suppose, a more emotion to the current queen, who of course is so young, and her learning about her two parents through these stories, understanding what way they were, and in a way helping her how to rule. That's, I think, really well done. I'm sure some people will probably complain about this because they killed off the two lesbian characters that they introduced, but I thought it was well done. I thought it was a good use of just, I think, like Voltron did, of just not drawing like too much attention, not making the debut of these characters be, arrows pointing towards them, these two characters are lesbians or anything like that. Just, casually, normal part of the world, this is just our relationship. It just happens to be two women. And I think that is a much more natural way to do it than, I think, what some people tend to want with these type of things, which is them to be very blunt and over the top about it. When I think this way actually works better, where now that they've done this and they've shown a small kiss on screen of them, it's just like that opens up the show to be able to do relationships like that whenever it needs to. So I think that's a positive for the show. I don't really see it as a negative. I know there was one early review that seemed to suggest there was something problematic about this, but I don't think it's too bad, especially when in the exact same sequence they are killed off along with Sarai. So I think there's a significance to that, especially how they kind of like remember it. It's like 3 queens were killed in this effort to stop the famine in the kind of human continent, basically, and they are remembered as legends because of their sacrifice. And that's where they cut to the statues, and it creates a significance behind how Sarai died and how the other 2 queens died as well. And as for that story overall of just them wanting to kill this kind of magma rock titan to steal its heart, to then use magic to kind of, I suppose, spread the life force of that heart of that titan across the world to create like crops and stuff like that. There's a certain understanding there behind that. I know they had the scene with Sarai and Harrow where they argued over, is this okay? Like, you're justifying this just because you think that thing is a monster? What if that thing is like just as intelligent as you are? What if it has a family? Just creating those questions of like, in a way, her warning him of like, you are going to start something here in terms of like, I suppose, the cycle of hatred, revenge cycle, and that's more or less what happens. And that they don't say it as much, but like the idea is that Thunder reacts to what happens by killing some of them because they killed the Titan, and then obviously at a later point they come back, kill Thunder, steal the egg, and that's how this all plays out. So I like how they're gradually telling us about this kind of backstory. They're not keeping it in play for too long, in that we're only just over the episode 10 mark, and we already know like a key part of this backstory. The relationship between Harrow and Sarai, I thought, was really, really well done with regards to just, their idealism together on this thing, but they also have disagreements. That ultimately Harrow, as the king, is the one who has to make the decisions, but she'll always be, the main advisor to him. And I think Viren even said as much, that at the time I wasn't the main advisor to Harrow because he had his wife, and It sort of speaks to the idea of like they had a friendship before. Viren was always an advisor, but in the aftermath of her death, Viren suddenly became the advisor, and the differences of, I suppose, their opinion on things began to come out more. And I suppose the idea is that Harrow kind of lent more into Viren's harsher actions than the more thoughtful, Sarai kind of opinion that she would always give. So, there was some good action as well. I like getting to see, Thunder again. The actual action scene against the, lava titan was very, very cool. Actually, they weren't afraid to sort of be dark with just like people being killed or wounded immediately, and just using kind of clever weaponry, some nice choreography. Something I didn't actually mention in the first video is just I knew going in that they said they had fixed the animation or at least improved it. I haven't really noticed any notable problems with it at all, so I think that is something where, like, absolutely you need to praise them for making that change. One of the only major criticisms with the first season, they've immediately gone ahead and fixed that, and for the most part I think the show looks better because of it. So that's definitely a huge positive. But yeah, the backstory, I really, really enjoyed it. As for, I suppose, Callum and the letter, I think this was always going to be a tough thing to do, just because they set it up for so long. Not just last season, but also this season they've teased it a lot. What the letter is, what's written in it, what mystery is going to be revealed. And for the most part, like, they don't go down the road of just, it's Harrow revealing a secret. It's more of Harrow's last words to Callum, and creating a significance behind that, of just Harrow helping Callum in a way to find his destiny and to find the right path. He's saying, Ezran is the next in line to be king, but you have to be right there. You have to be his closest advisor, his protector. And the ideal that I want going forward is not about strength, but it's about love. And that's nice that, Callum now has that. I suppose how Callum is now probably thinking is that, does he have the power to protect Ezran? In some ways he does, but in terms of actual strength, I suppose he doesn't. And that's where, I suppose Callum is going to have to maybe struggle a little bit, because he might feel, of all the people, he's too weak in a way to fulfill that role, and will have to do something to make that happen. So that might play into maybe why he uses dark magic, as we saw from the trailers. But again, we have to wait and see on that. The mystery, I suppose, that is revealed is that, oh, there's something secret at the lodge where he sent them, obviously, last season. And he's like, oh no, I'm not there. But then it's revealed that it's the cube that he had in the first place. That is the secret, and it's this kind of ancient object. It's a key to unlock something, and it belongs to this kind of ancient elf mage called Aravos, who, I don't know if it's a spoiler, but like, they revealed this on like Twitter and social media, that the name of the star elf, I think, is Aravos, so this is her cube. So that sort of begins to link a few things together. I suppose what I'm waiting for in the show is when they actually reveal in the show that that's her name and make those connections. But still, very interesting, and just the fact that Harrow says, I think you'll be the one to actually like solve this kind of mystery, I find quite interesting. And of course, because Harrow does have a good sense of humor, adds in an extra super secret thing that Bait likes belly rubs, and they showed a bit of that. So pretty well done overall in terms of this big reveal, what is in the letter. I like the emotional core of it, of just the hesitation of Callum about opening it, because these are the last words that he'll ever say to me. And he's like, there's something like significant about the fact that they're unread, and that like he's still alive in a way because there's still something unsaid to me, and it's right here. If I read them, then he's gone. That he'll never say anything new to me. And so, I thought that was a nice angle to take on like why there's that hesitation, because there's something comforting in a way about just the fact that there's something still to be said, but he has to read it, and it comes out. There's obviously still the reveal that they still haven't told Ezran about Harrow's death, and that is going to have to come out at some point. I'd rather they get it out of the way here rather than just dragging it into the next season, because it's just the same plot point basically just being kind of continued on, because it was the plot point that went from season 1 into season 2 with like Rayla not telling Callum, and now Callum not telling Ezran is the same problem. So I hope in the last few episodes that reveal comes out and we can just be like kind of clear of that and just kind of deal with things going forward. And yeah, we just have the setup that with the Viren and the other leaders, he wants their help, but the other leaders are initially going to agree, but then obviously the Queen of Duran disagrees. And even after getting the story where it feels like Viren told it in a way that really got across the idea of like, this is something your mothers would do, but she still refuses because she doesn't want, I suppose, violence to lead to more deaths, despite her being thankful for what happened in the past. So I think they've done an okay job with the whole child ruler kind of angle. I was worried in the early scenes with her that they were going to go down the road of just, for some reason, the youngest leader ends up being the best leader for no real apparent reason. And usually when that happens, the angle that ends up happening is that it's not a case where like she is being presented as being that amazing. It's just that the other leaders are being presented as just having no opinion whatsoever. At least they attempted to give a little bit of character to at least like one of the other leaders, and then she wasn't so confident that like there wasn't a hint that she could have been like fallen for the manipulation. So it's a tough one in that they want to have her be this opposition to Viren, but they can't have her be that strong of a leader because she's so young. So I think they're doing an okay job. I still would much prefer that the individuality of the other nations' rulers were kind of a bit more strong, rather than just being jokey and her being able to get the funny comment in that like I'm making more of a decision than you guys are. It just, that feels just a little forced, and you're basically making three characters almost identical for the sake of strengthening one. But we'll have to wait and see where exactly they go with the political angle here. And given that he's not getting any support here, is he going to go back to the mirror and see if that is some sort of solution? Because that seems to be the thing with Viren, is that he tries to go about things in the right way. When it doesn't go the correct way, he usually resorts to magic or more villainous acts. So it's an interesting, I suppose, angle with Viren in that he's our villain, but he isn't the clear-cut villain. You like Claudia and Soren, but I suppose much more leaning towards the villainous side. There's still that hope because he constantly remembers Harrow as this kind of good influence on him. He constantly remembers that he ultimately wants good, but the stuff that he's willing to do to get there is problematic, of course. So I like the way he's being written, that there's a complex villain here. It's not just a straight up, oh, he's fallen to the effects of dark magic and is corrupted. That could still happen, but right now they're still having him be intelligent about this and think things out. That I like that they didn't have him just immediately, oh yeah, I'll cut myself and do this like magic ritual that I don't know anything about. He's more intelligent than that, and he's going to wait until the absolute last minute, try and find anything he can about it, and then if it's still nothing's going his way, then maybe he'll do it as like a last ditch desperation thing. So yeah, 3 episodes to go, one more video today to cover that. I hope they deliver on, I suppose, revealing stuff about the Star Elf Aravos. in the grand scheme of the plot, we haven't really progressed all that much because, as I said, the first 3 episodes very much felt like the sort of ending of the first season. These last 3 episodes have of course been backstory, but the main plot, especially with the heroes, hasn't progressed all that much because they've just been traveling, basically. They have a lot to do in 3 episodes to get us to an interesting point, but they seem to be delivering in that there's a lot of content in a lot of these episodes, so I definitely have faith that they're going to, accomplish something here. So that's my review for episode 4, 5, and 6 of The Dragon Prince Season 2, Book 2. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are, but that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.